Hey dolls, welcome back to another episode of Freaky Friday, my favorite day of the week. Thank you so much for tuning in and for continuing to support this channel. You guys, we hit 4,000 subscribers. That's so crazy. In the video, you might hear some hammering, knocking, and crap, but they're doing some construction here literally right in front of my house on the street. They're like changing a big pipe. So I apologize if that comes across in the videos. It's annoying. Also, don't forget to get your Freaky Friday merch. I do have merch. I'll link it in the description box below. Like I always say in every video, please engage with these videos. And by that, just leave comments. Be sure to give a thumbs up. Share with your friends, even if you share it on your Facebook timeline to 5 friends. It doesn't matter as long as YouTube sees that you're interested in the video and you're sharing it out into the world, then would most likely share it with new viewers. And like I always say, I just want our little spooky freaky crew to grow, which it is. So thank you dolls so much. So just continue to do what you are doing. Thumbs up the video. It's very, very important. Comment down below, also very, very important, and watch through the videos. So thank you so much, dolls. I love you. I am going to stop chatting. Oh, no. One last thing. If you have not cleansed or are scared, be sure to say a prayer, sage, cleanse, use incense, light a candle, talk to your guides, talk to your angels. If that is what you believe in, please do so right now before we get started, just to protect yourself, your space, your home, which is exactly what I did before I started reading these stories. So thank you dolls so much. If you are not subscribed, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell notification to be notified when I upload videos. Also turn on all post notifications because YouTube still will not notify you. But let's get into these stories. Okay, dolls, so we have the first story for today, and it is titled Satan Tried It, and this is from Natalie. Hey, Ashley Marie, I would first like to start off, as any fangirl would, by declaring I absolutely adore you. I've been a subscriber to your channel since I was about 13, going on 14, and I'm about to turn 21. Oh my gosh! It's so crazy when you actually see the ages. When you guys tell me how far back you used to watch me when you were so young and you're full-blown adults now, it's so crazy. Thank you so much, babe, for continuing to follow me and not getting bored of me. I rep your Freaky Friday crew neck all the way from the 702. Oh, thank you. I can go on for hours about how much I adore your personality and style and how everyone knows I'm a big fan of yours, but I just want to get to the spooky stories. Oh, it's so sweet. My first story begins when I was around 4 to 5 years old. My mom would drop my brother off and I at my grandmother's house while she went to work. I remember this event so clearly because it was the first time some spooky went down, lol. So my grandma had put me down for a nap around the afternoon time. I remember I fell asleep on the couch and she carried me to her bed because I was sleeping. But really, I had just woken up when she picked me up, but I didn't want to walk, so I pretended to be asleep. Anyways, she tucked me into her bed and closed the door as she left the room. Her bed was giant and so comfortable, so I tried to fall back asleep. I began to toss and turn, and for some odd reason, I couldn't go back to sleep. I then sat up on her bed, and something was calling for my attention. I felt the need to look out her window. I sat there and stared at the window and wondered what was calling me in silence. A few seconds passed, and I let go a big breath of air out when 2 humanly figures slammed their bodies against the window. They were slamming themselves against the glass and began pounding with their hands. I couldn't see their features clearly except their black, hollow mouths and eyes. I remember it so vividly to this day. I was completely terrified and I hid under the covers. I began to pray to God to save me and to make those people go away. I don't remember how long I prayed for, but finally I stopped hearing the banging. I peeked out of the covers and saw that whatever was there had disappeared. I booked it out that room so fast and ran to my grandma. I tried explaining to her what I just saw, so she went to go check it out herself. Luckily, there was nothing anymore. As a kid, I figured it was probably my brother and cousins playing a joke on me. But when I said that to my grandma, she said that there was no one home except for us. My brother and cousins were at school. Ever since that, I was never left alone in a room because that, not today, Satan. Well, I just picturing the hollow eyes and the mouth, that is insane. I would be so scared. And yeah, girl, good thing you never were left alone in that room again, because I would have been the same way. So now the second story from Natalie. So moving on to the next story. Satan really did try it though. Thankfully, not with me, but with my own mom. My mom shares the story of the time she became face to face with the devil. This story still freaks me the out because the evidence was legitimately there. So my mom was living in Outlan, Jalisco at the time, aka Mexico. She was a little girl at the time. I can't remember the specific age, but between 5 to 7 years old. To paint the setting of the event, the house they lived in was an old school Mexican house, where the center of the house had an outdoor opening and an entire garden there. My mom had woken up late at night to go to the bathroom. She was too scared to use the actual toilet because there was no light in there, and she was scared of the curtain that acted as a door. So she went to go pee in the garden since the moon provided enough sunlight to see. She described the garden with a giant tree in the center, and around it were tiny plants in pots. She began to do her business on the giant tree in the center. As she's finishing up, she hears the door that led to the backyard slowly open. She then quickly pulled up her pants and began to hide behind the tree. Although she was frightened that someone was breaking into her house, she peeked through the branches. As the door is still opening, there was a red light approaching through it. As the red light began to appear brighter, a tall red man walks through with horns on his head. She describes this moment to be so frightening because it's like the devil knew exactly where she was. He instantly stared at her as he walked in. As he walked into the house, she would hide her face, and when she would look again, he would still be staring directly at her. Finally, the devil sat on my great-grandma's wooden rocking chair and just sat there and stared. My mom felt as if he was playing peekaboo with her. She peeked again, and at this point, he was smiling at her while rocking back and forth. Finally, he decides to get up and leave. At last, my mom hears the door slam shut and began running to her room. She tries to wake up her siblings and mom, but they wouldn't pay attention to her. One of her sisters told her to pray and go to sleep. The next morning, my mom tried to explain the whole situation to the family, but of course everyone laughed and said if the devil came here, he would have taken you. She explained how he opened the door and sat in my great-grandma's chair, but still no one wanted to believe her, until one of my aunts looked at the rocking chair and called everyone over. The wooden chair had a handmade quilt on the seat, but it was burned and ashes were on the ground. There was a trail of ashes on the floor leading to the back door. Even the door handle was melted. After this, best believe they drove my mom to be blessed and cleansed. My family doesn't really talk about this event. In fact, I've only heard my mom tell the story twice. Thank you for taking the time and patience to read my stories. As much as I believe in paranormal activity, I'm so scared of it. I've even witnessed some creepy but funny stuff at my work, but that's a whole other email. I really enjoy your Freaky Friday series, and I love to get ready as I watch them. Please continue being the spooky and fierce chica that you are. You continually help many people, including myself, with our own personal issues by providing a fun and creative escape. Thank you for everything, Ashley Marie. Your spooky little fangirl, Natalie. Oh, that is... First, I just want to say that is so sweet. Thank you so much for all your kind words, and I love you, and you guys just always melt my heart, and these are my favorite videos to film just because I feel like we've connected so much more through these videos. Now, back to the story. Hell to the no. I would have started screaming off the top of my lungs or passed out and fainted. I don't know what I would have done. My aunt has seen a figure like that before when she was little, so she's always freaked out about it, and I can only imagine how your mom feels. I hope after your mom's cleansing, she never experienced anything like that again because I would die. Thank you so much, Natalie, for sharing your story. Okay, dolls, this next story is from Myra, and it is titled, What is in the House? Hi, Ashley. My name is Myra, and I would love to say that I have been following you since 2012. Dang, that is a long time. Thank you, my love. That's 7 years. And I love you very much. Well, I love you more. Thank you so much for your continued support throughout the years. Here's my story. My mom and the kids were in one room, and my brother and his girlfriend in the other. I was in the living room. This was back in 2011. I lived with my mom, younger and older brothers, sister-in-law, and 2 nieces. I was 21 back then. Now I'm 29. I wasn't working or going to school due to taking care of my nieces and little brother. Anyway, my older brother has been on meth on and off for at least 13 years. He's clean now. But one night, my older brother went to the bathroom. Both rooms are across from each other and the bathroom in the middle of the hallway. He was taking a shower, and that's when my mom knocked on the door and asked him if he just barely went into the bathroom. And he said, "No, I've been in here for the last 15 minutes. My mom came and got me and told me that she saw a black figure going into the bathroom. My mom didn't tell my brother until the year after. He said that he has seen black figures and seen the devil more than once. He looked at me and said, she has seen the devil as well. She would get high. Yes, I was addicted for 6 years, but I've been sober for almost 8 years. I have seen the devil, I told both of them, but more than 3 times. Each time, the devil changed its image. In 2012, my brother and his girlfriend left, and ever since then, we haven't seen anything else, or so we thought. I have more stories, but this will be later on. Thank you for reading my story. Hopefully it wasn't that long." That is terrifying. Of course, negative energies like to cling themselves to other negative energies, well, us, if our energy is low. And of course, all of us would love to hear the other stories, so do not hold back. Send those stories over. We want to hear them. Thank you so much, Myra, for sharing your story. This next story is from Ruth, and it's titled, My Dead Ex-Husband. Hey, Ashley, my name is Ruth. Let me start by saying I love your videos and your style. I think you are gorgeous. Thank you, babe. So let me give you a little backstory. I was young and dumb and got married at the age of 19. We were married for about 4 years and had a beautiful baby girl, but things didn't quite work out, so we split up. She was about 2 years old when we went our separate ways. I moved on, and so did he. I really didn't like to interact with him, so we used to use my parents' house as a meeting place to pick up and drop off Miha for his visitation days, so I didn't have to see him. Needless to say, he kept a good relationship with my parents because of this. So, 2 years down the line, around the end of November and beginning of December, he was in a car accident by himself and was in a coma for a week. I only found out because the day of the accident, I got a call from his mom, who I had not spoken to since he and I separated. So it threw me off a bit to get a call from her. She told me that he was drunk, one of the many reasons why I left him, and tried killing himself by flipping his car over on the freeway. Luckily, no one else was hurt and my daughter wasn't with him. He came out of the coma and I was furious with him because I felt like he didn't care about my daughter enough to be around for her. She was only 4 at the time. He said he was going to change and be a better father. A year later, exactly to this day, he passed away. But a week before his passing, the weirdest thing happened to me. I've always had somewhat of what I would say is a sixth sense, and I've always seen things and felt things that I know are not normal. I lived in an apartment with my new boyfriend at the time, and it was those types of apartments that share a wall with the neighbors, and my bed was right next to that shared wall. So at times I could hear my neighbors arguing and doing other things. The week before he passed, I woke up to the sound of knocking at 3 in the morning. I could have sworn I heard the knocking coming from the shared wall. I looked around and saw nothing. I stayed awake for a couple of minutes and nothing happened. I fell back asleep, and in the morning, I asked my boyfriend if he had heard the knocking. He said no, so I thought nothing of it. The same night again, I woke to the sound of knocking again at 3 in the morning. Again, I look around and nothing. I woke my boyfriend up. He looked around and there was nothing, and my daughter was fast asleep in her room, so it wasn't her. I shrugged it off and went back to bed. The next night, the same thing happened, knocking at 3 in the morning. but this time it was closer. I was facing the wall and I heard the knocking right behind me on our wooden backboard. I slowly turned around to look over my shoulder, only to see my boyfriend's hand straight up in the air, and he was knocking on our backboard. But he was fast asleep. As you can imagine, this scared the out of me. I kicked him and he woke up, and he said he didn't remember anything, so he fell asleep right away, and I stayed up. All 3 nights, I woke up to the sound of 3 knocks at 3 in the morning, and it got me thinking. So I decided to Google to see what it meant, and I found out what the 3 knocks at the witching hour. Those were the knocks of death. So it had me a little freaked out. 3 days after this all happened, I got the phone call from his sister telling me he had passed away of an overdose. So I was so scared. But sadly, it doesn't end there. A couple of days after the funeral, my parents both told me that he would always tell them that he never stopped loving me, and he wished things would have been different between us. That same night, I heard my daughter talking to someone in her sleep. She was carrying out a full conversation with someone. All I heard her say was, "It's okay, I understand, she is right there," and she stopped talking. I got the eerie feeling that she was talking to him. A little freaked out about what I had heard, I went to bed, and I started dreaming that I was walking through this huge bridge, and on one end was fire and demons and a lot of negative energy. I was so scared, but I was walking away from it to see the other side, where there was a beautiful sunshine and a lovely, calming scene. So as I'm walking to this end of the bridge, I stopped in the middle of the bridge and looked back to see him coming after me, telling me to go with him. So in my dream, he catches up to me and grabs my right arm. Then something woke me up, but the scariest thing is, when I woke up, the hand that he was holding in my dream was so cold and somewhat stiff, almost like it was dead, and it was even purple. I'm 31, and this has never happened to me before or since. After a couple of minutes, my hand went back to normal, but it scares me to think what would have happened had I not woken up when I did. Sorry this story is so long, but I've only told one of my sisters, and she told me, what if he was trying to kill you in your sleep? That's the scary thing. This is not the only dream I've had of him trying to take me with him, but it was the only one he actually made contact with me. Again, sorry so long, but I love your Freaky Fridays. Please keep them going. I've had many more stories to share with you. Lots of love from the RGV. Did he ever harm you in any way? That's the scary thing, is that when you woke up, that arm was it was numb and it was purple. If he loved you as much as he said he did, he would not trying to take you to the bad side. That is so scary. Thank you so much, Ruth, for sharing your story. This next story is from Alyssa, and it's titled Back to School. Hey love, so the story is kind of short, but I still wanted to share. My best friend and I like to go ghost hunting around our town when we're bored, and one night we decided to go to our old high school. The high school we went to is super old and has always been rumored to be haunted. There's even a rumor that a long time ago, a student committed suicide in one of the buildings. We went super late at night and on the weekend, so nobody was there. The high school we went to has 3 different buildings, so we went to the building closest to the parking lot first. There's a door that almost connects to the parking garage that we could see was unlocked, like the door was pretty much popped open, so we were going to that one. As I was about to put my hand on the doorknob, we both heard a bang from the parking garage, and since we were the only ones there, we went to go check on my best friend's car to make sure nothing happened. When we got to the car, nothing was abnormal, so we went back to the school building. When we got to the door, I tried to open it and it was locked. We could see inside the window and there was nobody inside the building or outside besides the 2 of us. We decided to check the doors on the main building of the school and they were open. We start walking in and we're just standing in the hallway talking about what happened with the door when some of the lights started to flicker. We decided to go upstairs and we were about 2 flights up when we both heard something at the same time. We both got scared and ran straight down the stairs and out of the building. When we got to the car and started talking about what happened, turns out we both heard completely different sounds at the same time. My best friend heard footsteps, but I heard a scream, but it came from the exact same place at the same time. We haven't been back because it freaks us out so much. This isn't as exciting as the other stories you get, but I still wanted to share. Love you, girl. Every paranormal story is exciting, so do not worry about that. Thank you for sharing your story. It's always high schools that are haunted because the high school that I went to, there was always rumors about a ghost named Alice who was haunting our auditorium. So I think that's always interesting and really creepy. Why are you guys going there by yourselves in the middle of the night? That is crazy. Do not do that again. Thank you so much, Alyssa, for sharing your story. And the last story we have for today, it is titled My WTF Story. Hi, muñeca linda, ¿cómo estás? I am great, my love. Thank you. Finally, I'm typing my story for someone who's asking for stories. Glad to be a part of the Freaky Friday experience. I've been following you since 2014 and watched you develop into an amazing channel. Thank you. I'm now 30. This happened when I was 14. I remember going to my friend to her stepmom's apartments to spend the day with her. We were hanging out, playing loteria, watching TV, and eating. Once it was time to go, we were saying our goodbyes and left. Once my friend and me reached the elevator, we went in. It was silent, and then all of a sudden, my friend was like, "Oh, okay, not good. Come on, we gotta go now." I'm like, "Why? What's going on?" And she's like, "We need to leave now." As soon as she said that, the elevator began to shake, and then the whole building, like an earthquake. As we were running down the stairs, the walls and windows were shaking. I remember that like it was yesterday. Oh my gosh, we were still running out of there while everything was shaking. We were at the parking lot and it was still rattling. Once we got outside of the building, I'm shaking and I asked her, "Oh my gosh, what was that? What happened? What the hell?" "Let me borrow your phone. I need to call my mom to see if she's okay." My friend's face was neutral. She lent me her phone and I called my mom. I asked her how she was doing and if she felt the earthquake. This is the part that I was like, okay, what the now? My mom said, "What are you talking about? There was nothing." I was in shock and asked her if she was serious. So from knowing that she's okay, I eased up a little bit. Then once we got to my friend's house, she told me about what had happened. She said that it was crazy that I had seen that too, since not everyone sees energies clash. I'm like, huh? What? But at the end of the day, the experience was unexplainable. I'm scared just mentioning this. I have told a few people and they don't believe me. Old buildings are scary. Don't trust that shit. Love, Jocelyn, aka Jody Joe. Okay, so the shaking was energies clashing? I need more of an explanation for that. You can't just cut me off there. I need more. Okay, so I'm going to have to research that because I've never heard that before, but that is so crazy and scary. But clearly your friend, it must happen to her a lot because she seemed to be very neutral towards the end. Thank you so much, Jocelyn, for sharing your story. So those are our stories for today, dolls. I absolutely loved them. Thank you so much for sharing them. You all are the best. If you have a story to submit, please submit it to freakyfridays2019@gmail.com. We all want to hear your freaky paranormal stories. So now we are going to move on to the outfit, just so I don't leave you all scared and terrified at night before you go to bed, if you're watching this at night. Okay, dolls, let's get into this outfit. So that is it for today's video, my loves. I truly hope you enjoyed it, especially Selena. Who does it? Thumbs up alone just for Selena. But this is just a fun look to wear out to an arcade, to a restaurant, wherever you want. Don't forget to submit your stories. I need more stories, so please continue to submit them. Thank you, dolls, so much. I love you, and I hope you have a Freaky Friday. Bye, loves.